What's up, YouTube family? This is Kim Stevens from Undiluted TV, and I'm coming to you with another show. And this one is this one is very, very interesting. So first of all, I'm gonna jump right into it. I hope everybody is having a blessed day, but I'm just gonna jump right into this, and I want y'all to listen to this very, very, very carefully. Listen to this audio that I'm about to play you very, very carefully. It's from Fox News, and it is, what's her name? Katie Pavlich. Katie Pavlich. She's a contributor to Fox News. So let's get into this.
They keep blaming America for the sin of slavery, but the truth is, throughout human history, slavery has existed, and America came along as the first country to end it within 150 years. And we get no credit for that to move forward and try and make
we did have a very bloody civil war
over that
and
issue.
We also and the remnants
for a long time.
The racial history and the remnants of the Civil War, particularly blacks in the South.
Yeah.
That was not an easy path. I mean, that was bloody and violent and deadly.
And there were Native Americans here when we showed up.
We're still. My point is that we were the country that decided to end it, and we're still dealing with the issue. But if you want to start a problem and to inflame racial tension even more, start blaming people who have nothing to do with slavery for the sin of slavery. That is not fair. That's not the American way, and we shouldn't be doing it.
Now, y'all heard her. But I'm not satisfied. I want you to hear it again.
They keep blaming America for the sin of slavery, but the truth is, throughout human history, slavery has existed, and America came along as the first country to end it within 150 years. And we get no credit for that to move forward and try and make good on that.
We did have a very bloody civil war
over that
and
issue.
We also and the remnants
for a long time.
The racial history and the remnants of the Civil War, particularly blacks in the South. That was not an easy path. I mean, that was bloody and violent and deadly.
And there were Native Americans here when we showed up.
We're still. My point is that we were the country that decided to end it, and we're still dealing with the issue. But if you want to start a problem and to inflame racial tension even more, start blaming people who have nothing to do with slavery for the sin of slavery. That is not fair. That's not the American way, and we shouldn't be doing it.
That was, again, like I said, that's a clip from Katie Pavlich yesterday on Fox News, and that's what she came out to tell everybody about her, I guess, her take or whoever's take on slavery. And of course she's under fire, as she should be under fire, for coming out with, first of all, that statement that was historically incorrect. That's the first thing. It was historically incorrect. Secondly, she says that folks that had nothing to do with slavery are being blamed for slavery. Okay, well, what folks is it that had nothing to do with slavery that are being blamed for slavery? Because white America was the cause of slavery in America. They are still the cause of slavery in America, and they are the only ones that are being blamed for slavery in America. So who is it that's being blamed that's not at fault? And all of this comes on the heels of this whole reparations thing. Reparations for descendants of slaves, African descendants of slaves. This whole reparation issue, there's a bill that has been passed, that somebody's trying to get passed, so that there can be a study, and there can be some movement to look into reparations, the ADOS and black folks in general Not all black folks, but the woke black folks and the black folks that are part of conscious society are all calling for reparations, because as we've already discussed, there have been reparations for everybody else. There have been reparations for the Native American Indians. There have been reparations for the Japanese because we bombed them in World War II. There have been reparations for Puerto Rico. There have been reparations for, you know, everybody else that America has harmed in any kind of way. The only person that has not received any form of reparation whatsoever is the black man in America. That's the only person that has not received any kind of reparations. And what reparations are is simply a way for you to restore or repay somebody for the harm and the damage that you have caused them. That's what reparations is. And this question of reparations to black folk has been on the table and off the table and on the table and off the table for years. And this time we're just not going to deal with people that, you know, just want to kind of glaze over it, and people that just want to say, well, it's not possible, and people that just want to say, okay, well, you know, if we do reparations for you, you know, we'll add a little bit for this group and we'll add a little bit for that group. No, it's time for reparations for African descendants of slaves in America right now. It's time for reparations for us and only us. No other group included. Something that's specifically for us. And this Becky right here is coming out saying this right now because the white supremacists and the racists are not here for that. They're not here for reparations. They're not here for what's going on. But too bad, so sad, because that's what's being demanded. That's what the whole Tangibles 2020 is about. You know, it's time for some tangibles. It's time for you to really show us something. It's time for you to really give us something. Not these intangible promises and what you gonna do for us. And no. We gotta see some proof, or you don't get the vote. It's just that simple. It's no more us just being loyal to one particular party or being loyal to folk who ain't doing nothing for us. It's time for us to be, it's time for it to be a real thing. It's time for you to give us something that we can see, touch, smell, taste, and really do something with, instead of all of these broken promises and all of these lies from all of these politicians down through the years. So either you can produce some tangibles, either you can cut the check, or you don't get the vote. You don't get the support. You don't get the backing anymore. It's just that simple. But let's get back to this child right here. Lord Jesus. I mean, she comes off as almost like, you know, we ought to be happy and we ought to be glad that America ended slavery and all of that. Come on, give me a break. You came to where we were. Wasn't bothering you, wasn't thinking about you. You came to where we were. Kidnapped us from our home. Brought us from our native home. Kidnapped us, brought us over here in shackles. Forced us to work for you, forced us to have babies for you, forced us to help you, forced us not to help you, but forced us to build your economy and to build your country. While we were being raped and being slaughtered and being treated like less than animals, because the animal was treated better than us. But we're supposed to feel some kind of way because talking about America ended slavery? Okay, well, America didn't end slavery because that was something that America just wanted to do. It took a bloody civil war. It took a war to bring about the end of slavery. Not somebody just sitting saying, oh, well, we just realized that slavery is wrong. We just realized that it's not right for one human being to try to own another human being. It's just not right for us to treat these people like this. We have taken them away from everything that they know. We have taken them away from their home. We have taken them away from their families. And we have brought them to here, and we have treated them like this. And we just need to stop this. No. It took a war to end legal slavery, but it didn't end slavery. We went from legal slavery to Jim Crow, which was slavery, to where we are now, which we're still in bondage. Black people are still in bondage. All this mass incarceration of all these black men, and they get all of this free labor, is still slavery. So we're still living, black people in America are still living under the environment of slavery. We're still being lynched. We may not be physically being hung from a tree, but look at R. Kelly, look at Michael Jackson, look at Bill Cosby. Look at all that has happened. We're still being lynched. We're still being killed indiscriminately in the streets by police officers. And the whole law enforcement system came from the slave catchers who went out and got the slaves who had escaped. That's where the whole law enforcement system came from. So we're still living under slavery. That's the reason why we have the hashtag 464, because it's 464 years and counting. In the civil rights movement, when we were trying to get some freedom, trying to get some respect in this country, I don't necessarily know, but that was their way then. That was their way then. Let's put it that way. That was their way then. That's what they knew. So they did what they knew. So what did they do? They turned water hoses on us and dogs on us and beat us indiscriminately in the streets and killed us in the streets. Why? Because we simply wanted to be treated like human beings instead of less than animals. And that was some 70, 80 years after legal slavery was prohibited, and after it was considered illegal, So this whole thing, I mean, she sits here, and I'll leave the link, of course, to this whole article so that you can see the clip in the description box. But she sits here, with this air of supremacy and this air of uprightness, like we should feel grateful to America for what? What should we feel grateful for? We didn't ask to be here. And we certainly didn't ask to be treated the way we were treated when we were brought here. And as far as slavery in other countries, the kind of slavery that we had to endure as Africans, as black people in America, no other people were experiencing that type of slavery. A lot of them were experiencing what is known as indentured servitude, where they were indentured servants. And it was a totally different concept. It was a totally different type of deal. But it was nothing like what the black African dealt with in America. So what do we have to be what do we have to be happy about? And why shouldn't we ask for reparations? Everybody else got them. The Jews got them from America. The Mexicans got them because of the American Spanish, of the American Mexican war that, you know, and they got back so much land and all of this kind of stuff. That, like I said, the Japanese got it because, you know, we bombed Pearl Harbor. I mean, because, no, they bombed Pearl Harbor. But because we dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, you know, but we've got nothing. Hold on, folks. But we've got absolutely nothing. Nothing but more injustice. Nothing but more brutality. Nothing but watching our men and our boys and our girls being killed in the streets by police officers, the people that are supposed to protect and serve. So what is she talking about? What is this Becky talking about? It's ridiculous. Anyway, this is an article in the Daily News by Nelson Oliviera. It was done yesterday, March 20th, 2019, New York Daily News, and this is the heading. America was not first country to end slavery, despite what this Fox News contributor said. A Fox News contributor is getting a history lesson via social media. Katie Pavlich is under fire for claiming this week America was the first country to end slavery within 150 years. Oh my God. The U.S. was not the first country to outlaw slavery, and it did not do so within 150 years. Numerous critics have pointed out on Twitter several European countries abolished slavery before the U.S. banned it in 1865, almost 250 years after it began. The conservative commentator made the remarks Tuesday during a rant against potential reparations. Again, reparations to descendants of slaves on Fox News Outnumbered show. That's the show that she's a part of. The Fox News Outnumbered show. And again, like I said, she did it in opposition. It was a rant against potential reparations to the descendants of slaves. I mean, this thought of reparations, this thought of repairing the damage that they have done to us, it just takes them to another level. They just can't handle it. They keep blaming America for slavery, but the truth is that throughout human history, slavery has existed, she said. America came along as the first country to end it within 150 years, and we get no credit for that. Oh, so we supposed to bow down to you because you quote unquote say you ended it? When you didn't ever have to start it? And when America's form of slavery was the most cruelest at the time? But you're supposed to get some credit for something. Exactly what are you supposed to get credit for? And then it goes on to give a history lesson. Now, black folk, don't be misled and don't be deceived. It's not that she does not know. It's not that she's ignorant to the fact and she does not know. She knows exactly what's going on. She knows exactly what's going on. She could have easily done a Google search and found out when slavery actually started, found out when slavery actually ended, find out how many years slavery went on in America, found out the other countries that ended slavery before we did. She could have easily done that. So it's not a case of, well, she just doesn't know. No. It's a case of she's coming out to hand you this bullshit so that you can believe that America did something for you. America did absolutely nothing for you and still has not done anything for you. You are still living under the slave system. Understand that. Her job was to come out to speak against reparations and to try to convince black people that, you know, y'all ought to be glad, and you know, and y'all ought to give us some credit, and y'all need to stop blaming white folks now for something that has been happening throughout history, and that other countries were doing, and just, you know, let it go. No, we've let enough go. We've let enough get past us. We've forgiven enough. And it's time for it to stop. Give us what is due to us. Not us and everybody else. No, give us what is due to us. As African descendants of slaves, give us what is due to us. Because again, we didn't ask to be here. And we didn't ask to go through all that we went through, all we've been through, and all we're still going through while we're here. We didn't ask for that. And once we get our reparations, see, this is the reason why we have got to support each other. This is the reason why we've got to stand with each other. This is the reason why we've got to support our own businesses. We've got to support our own industry. We've got, excuse me, we've got to support our own schools. This is the reason why we've got to do that. This is the reason why we've got to get back to the mentality that black folks had during the Black Wall Street age. $1918, $1919, $1920, the early 1900s. We've got to get back to that. We've got to get back to, you know, maintaining and taking care of ourselves. Maintaining our own community. Financing our own community. Financing our own businesses, our own schools. We've got to get back to that. And once we get our reparations, we've got to separate. Because they are clearly letting it be known that we are never going to be a part of their system. We were brought here to be free labor. And as far as they're concerned, that's all we're ever going to be. All we're ever going to be is a labor force for them. To do their work, to help them make money, while we get as little out of the deal as possible. And we're not supposed to complain about it. We're not supposed to ask for anything for ourselves. We're just supposed to go along and you know, and uplift the white folks and uplift every other group while we be left behind. No more of that. Now, this is the history. Historians say slavery in the United States began with the arrival of 20 enslaved Africans in Virginia in 1619. Now, you have to understand, Jamestown, Virginia was the first colony that was formed, you know, in North America. And it was formed in I think it was either 1609 or 1607. I'll get that. Well, it was established in 1607. 12 years later, you get your first shipment of slaves, of African slaves, enslaved Africans. You get your first shipment of 20 enslaved Africans 12 years after the colony is formed. Let me finish reading. Historians say, I'm gonna start again. Historians say slavery in the U.S. began with the arrival of 20 enslaved Africans in Virginia in 1969. Though some experts argue it effectively began decades earlier. But certainly not later than 1619. But some experts argue that it started even before then, decades before then. It was abolished in 1865 with the 13th Amendment, after we go through this whole bloody Civil War, North against South. By the way, Miss Pavlich, slavery is in what is now the U.S. began almost as soon as the Jamestown, Virginia colony was established in 1607. Historian Jeff Elliott wrote on Twitter, "It took the U.S. nearly 250 years to end it. All you have to do is Google stuff to find out facts." Ever hear of that? Journalist Soledad O'Brien called her a complete moron. She's not a moron. She knew exactly what she was doing. She knew exactly what she was doing. There's no ignorance on her part. It's not because she just didn't know. She was sent to deceive you. She was sent to make you feel like, oh, well, it was only 150 years. Okay, well, if it was only 150 years, why do we have this hashtag 464 years? We have the hashtag of 464 because it's been 464 years and counting, because we are still enslaved in America, just in a different way. The dynamic is different. The physical appearance of it is different. But it's still slavery. Pavlich did not apologize, but she tweeted at O'Brien on Wednesday acknowledging part of her statement was wrong. Should have said one of the first countries from the point of founding. Pavlich wrote, "My argument stands, but please, Soledad, please continue name calling as your argument and the smearing of America as the originator of slavery. America is the originator of the kind of slavery that black Africans had to endure. The buck breaking, the beating, the raping, the complete stripping of all humanity, the whippings, the mutilations, the hangings, the burnings. Yes, America is the originator of that kind of slavery." The outnumbered panel was discussing Senator Elizabeth Warren's support of a new House bill that would create a commission to study potential reparations for descendants of enslaved people. That's why she was so incensed. That's why she's so upset. That's the reason why she didn't take the time to come with facts. It's because she had to get it out there. She had to get it off of her chest. Becky was just upset. The same black people that have worked for you and slaved for you and caused you to have all that you have, and black women have nursed your children and took care of your household and all of that while being raped by your white man. She was just incensed. She couldn't take it. So it made her no difference whether she was spouting facts or not. Most white people don't. Especially most white supremacists. They don't spout facts. So don't be misled by this. Don't believe this. You heard what the historians are saying. Definitely 1619. But some argue decades earlier than that was when slavery actually began in the U.S. And it took nearly 250 years for it to be abolished. And then we went from slavery to Jim Crow, which was also slavery. All black people could do was work and spend money in white businesses. That's all black people could do. They couldn't vote. They couldn't speak up. A black man couldn't speak to a white woman unless he was automatically lynched. That's slavery. Then we went from that to this so-called civil rights amendment to where we are now with the mass incarceration of black men. And their labor is being used for free. Here's another part of the history lesson they wanted to give. The following countries are some of the nations that ended slavery before the U.S. Spain, 1811. Canada, 1819. Mexico, 1829. UK, 1833. Sweden, 1847. Denmark, 1848. France, 1848. Portugal, 1858. So we were not even among the first. She tweeted that we were among the first. We were not even among the first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8 countries that were listed years before us. We didn't end ours until 1865. Portugal is the last country he listed here, and that was 1858. So they were 7 years ahead of us. So we weren't even among the first. And again, remember, it took a bloody civil war to get us in that position. It was not because, like I said, it was not because anybody felt bad about what was going on. It was not because anybody just all of a sudden realized it was just immoral and it was wrong and no human being should be treated like we're treating these people. No. It was because of a bloody civil war. And then even after it was abolished, then they set up, especially well, definitely in the South, they set up Jim Crow. What was just another form of slavery. And during Jim Crow, they were still doing exactly what they did during slavery. They were still lynching black men and black people. They were still raping. The Ku Klux Klan decided they wanted to rise. Burning people out of their homes and dragging black men out in the middle of the night to hang them and kill them and beat them. So when did slavery end here? So somebody really needs to step back, because if she was the best that you have to send out against ADOS, if she was the best that you have to send out against Tangibles 2020, if she was the best that you have to send out against reparations, you should have rethought that. Because the least she could have done was take the time to come and bring some facts. If she was going to try to mislead people, if she was going to try to steer people away from the thought of reparations, she could have at least come out with some facts. But Becky looking and she sees that her perfect world might start tumbling down. And if money is taken from certain things over here to do right by us, like you have done right by every other group to do be right by us, then somehow or another it might affect her. And she just can't take it. So she has to come out and spew this nonsense. But again, black folk, don't be misled into believing that she does not know better. And just like the African descendants of slaves need to be repaid, they need to be repaired, the white descendants of slave owners need to be the ones to do it. Because just like you can't go back and dig up them former slaves, you can't go back and dig up them former slave owners. You can't go back and dig up the people that started this back in the 1600s. So just like the breach needs to be repaired for us, the folks who need to repair the breach are the descendants of the folks who started the breach in the first place. Because again, we didn't ask to come here. And yes, the Dutch might have been the ones that went and got us, but the Americans are the ones that accepted us in chains, kept us in chains, sold us in chains, and still have us in invisible chains. Those that were in power in the Jamestown, Virginia colony didn't have to accept us. They didn't have to accept you bringing enslaved black folk to them in chains. They didn't have to start that mess in the U.S. But they did. And not only did they start it, but they kept it going, and it's still going. So yeah. We are owed reparations. And it's not something we're asking for anymore. If you want what we got, our vote, our support, then you got to give us what we want. You got to give us what's owed to us. Because we didn't ask to be here. So the next time y'all decide that y'all want to bring somebody out to go against reparations and to go against the African descendants of slaves, the next time you want to bring, at least tell them to bring some facts with them. At least tell them to bring something to the table. And stop treating us like we stupid. And stop insulting our intelligence like we don't know what's really going on. At least bring somebody that is going to come and have a real voice. I mean, because if you listen to the clip, even those there with her, I mean, they just were not, they were not even trying to hear it. The women that were there with her.
For the sin of slavery, but the truth is, throughout human history, slavery has existed, and America came along as the first country to end it within 150 years, and we get no credit for that to move forward and try and make good on that.
We did have a very bloody civil war
over that
and
issue.
We also had the remnants of the racial history, and the remnants of the Civil War, particularly blacks in the South.
Correct.
Yeah. That was not an easy path. I mean, that was bloody and violent and deadly.
And there were Native Americans here when we showed up.
We're still, my point is that we were the country that decided to end it, and we're still dealing with the issue. But if you want to start a problem and to inflame racial tension even more, start blaming people who have nothing to do with slavery for the sin of slavery. That is not fair. That's not the American way, and we shouldn't be doing it.
You know, even the people sitting there on the panel with her could not believe this. I mean, they just, you know, I mean, they were like, and they had to speak up. They had to speak up because look at the whole, look how bloody and deadly the whole civil rights movement was. From the early 1900s until the late 1960s, early 1970s. Look how bloody that whole movement was. Look how many people lost their lives. Again, like I said, you know, look how many people were hung and lynched and killed in the street. I mean, like I said, they sicking dogs on us and water hoses, just like we were less than human. I I mean, is this chick really? I mean, they couldn't do better than this. They couldn't do no better than this. A Becky with blonde hair that's trying to protect her white supremacy, because that's all she's doing. And trying to protect the racist white supremacist system in America. That's all she's doing. So don't be deceived by this. And of course, I'll leave all the links to the articles, to all of this in the description box. Shout out to flynubianqueen.com for bringing this whole issue to my attention, so that I could research it a little bit, and so that I could, find the clip and listen to what she had to say for myself. But this is, please, no, it doesn't change anything. Reparations. Tangible 2020. ADOS. Hashtag 464. It's time for it to stop. And it's time for us to separate ourselves. Like we should have stayed separated from the beginning. But the audacity of this white woman to talk about what credit America's not giving. Okay, what credit are we as black people given for this nation being what it is today, as far as economics is concerned, as far as being a superpower is concerned in the global system? We built this country. This country was built off the back of black slaves. It's still being built off of black work and black dollars. And what credit have we been given to be shot down in the street unarmed like animals? For our children to be shot down in the street. For our dead icons to be dug up and smeared and lied on. For our men to be forced into this whole prison thing they got going, so that you can use them for free labor and make money off of them. What credit have we been given for building this same America that she talking about should get some credit for ending slavery? You should have never started it. Who told you that because you were white, you had the right to own somebody else? You had the right to treat another human being like less than an animal. Who told you that? And you can stop lying, acting like you got it out of the Bible, because you didn't. The Bible does not condone this form of slavery. The form of slavery that the black African has had to deal with in America. The Bible does not condone that. The Bible talks about indentured servitude, where you voluntarily become a servant of someone for 7 years. And after that 7 years is up, you can walk away from it if you want to. The only thing America deserves is to give us what's owed to us. You gonna kidnap a whole race of people, forcibly bring them from their homeland in shackles and chains on ships, bring them over here in chains to a strange place with looking at strange faces with a strange language, and force them to work, beat them into submission, rape them, kill them, separate families, force the women to have children that you then turn into slaves. And we are supposed to give America credit for something? Come on now. hang us and burn us as example to other slaves of what will happen if you try to escape, or what will happen if you don't do what you're told to do. Deny us the right to learn how to read and how to write. And we're supposed to give America credit for something. Come on. Woosah. America. Black America. Don't be fooled by this. She knows what she's doing. She knows the history. And if she doesn't know it specifically, she could have easily found it out. They are nervous. Because this time, we just ain't accepting the bullshit. This time, we just ain't dealing with the lies and the promises. This time, we just ain't giving no more, we ain't giving out no more passes. Whether you be the white supremacist or whether you be the black face of the white supremacists and racism. We're just not giving out any more passes. We're not doing any more forgiving. We're not supporting anybody else's group. We're not willing any longer to be, attached to something else. And then because we're attached to it with other groups, we end up being the last one to benefit from it, if we benefited from it at all. No. This time it's all about us. And what's owed to us. Not what somebody is giving us. You ain't giving us nothing. It's owed to us. So the next time you want to send a blonde-haired Becky to try to talk this kind of mess, like I said, at least tell her to get her facts straight before she goes on national TV and makes an absolute ass out of herself, because that's what this one did. And we ain't buying it. So you can get all upset and get as hostile as you want to. Don't change nothing. We're not buying it. America does not need to be given credit for anything. We had our own Holocaust right here, and it's still going on. 464 years later, it's still going on. We don't have time to feel sorry for anybody else. We don't have time to become a part of anybody else's issues. We don't have time to become a part of any other group's issues and their movements and all of that. No, it's about us now. You want what we got? Give us what's owed to us. Hashtag ADOS. Hashtag Tangibles 2020. Hashtag 464. Hashtag cut the check. Because if you ain't talking about cutting the check, you can leave the table. Or we gonna get up and leave the table. Because there's no point in talking about anything else if you're not talking about cutting the check. But this mess here, it ain't about it. It ain't even about it. Ain't nobody even interested. It's not about it. But keep on sending them to make fools out of themselves. Keep on sending them with this mess to make fools out of themselves. But Becky's scared. Becky worried about her throne, honey. Becky worried about her pedestal. Becky worried about that life that she done got used to living. Becky worried about that white privilege. We don't care nothing about you having your white privilege. You can have your white privilege. Just give us our reparations so we can go on over here and separate ourselves. This has been Kim Stevens, Undiluted TV. Stay tuned for the next show. Be blessed and have a wonderful day.